Hey, everybody, it's Kara.
And this is Ed.
And this is Deja.
And this is your day's dumpster fire.
I feel like
we're here.
I feel like you bouncing around in that chair. I feel like the microphone's is going to pick up all the squeaking and.
I heard nothing.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my paranoia.
Okay.
I am good with the mute button. I'm not good with unmuting, but I'm good with the mute button.
Yeah, we've had quite a morning.
Why don't you just tell them about our lovely trash can fire that literally just happened? Because I've been sitting here for an hour.
What happened there? Did you hear that, Deja? Like, Kara just turned into a robot. Like,
that's a you problem, my friend. I didn't hear anything. I'm fine.
Yeah. Holy crap! What is going on now? Everybody sounds horrible.
This is our trash can fire for the day.
We are.
We have been technically disabled, and just it's not doing the. We're here.
We're here.
Like I said,
we're here.
Fine.
We're doing fine. This is great. Deja, why don't you tell them about the trash can fire?
Okay, so Ed and I live about 20 minutes away from each other, and I don't have the best setup for recording. And I didn't want to do this at night because it makes me really sleepy, and we like to do it during the day. So I came over to Ed's house, and we're in his office right now, and we don't know what we're doing. Therefore, we did not know how to be in the same room, hear each other's voices, have two mics, and all of that simultaneously. Therefore, we spent about an hour and a half-ish figuring it out.
Yeah, we're doing great. Yeah, so good.
Good job.
Yep, so that was our trash can fire. How to record. Press the button. We're doing it.
We're gonna make another podcast like about us being able to be podcasters, but like it's all of the things we do wrong. Probably be really successful.
Actually, you're not wrong. let us tell you.
We just record while we're doing the things wrong, and it's like, check out what we did and don't do that.
Perfect.
Anyways, Kara, it's you today.
It's me today.
What you got for us?
I got a doozy. I decided to tackle the assassination of Franz Ferdinand and the start of World War I.
This is gonna be good.
I'm very excited. I hope you all have your notebooks out, pens, papers. There's a quiz at the end.
Kara students has been carrying around a World War I book.
I have.
That's about half of her size.
Yeah. I have been lugging around a giant World War I book for the past 2 weeks. It's great. I am going to.
Come on, Kara.
I'm telling you, you're right. You're right.
Together.
So I know that the assassination happened in 1914, but unfortunately for you guys, I have to take you all the way back to 1839 to start to understand why this was an issue. 1839 is the first alliance that we have set forward that's going to help push the dominoes along in 1914. But we're going to go back to 1839 real quick. I am going to just give you some framework so you know how I have this organized. I'm going to start with all of the different alliances between the European powers, starting with 1839 all the way up to 1907. Yeah, to 1907. And then we're going to briefly take a pit stop at the Industrial Revolution and what's going on there, the arms race. After that, we're going to get into the annexation. And then finally, after the annexation, we're going to talk about the Balkan Wars ending with 1914 and the assassination. Unfortunately, you need to understand all of those information. You need all of that information before you even start thinking about this assassination. So we're going to start there.
No instant gratification for you.
Absolutely not. We got to work up to it.
Patience is a virtue, my friends.
Patience is a virtue. Stick with me. I know it's confusing. We're going to try and bolt through it pretty quick, though. Again, get your notebooks, get your pens and pencils. Winner gets a cookie at the end. Here we go. Deja's getting ready with a notebook. All right. Well, she just wants a cookie. Yeah, she just wants a cookie. Here we go. So in 1839, the Treaty of London was signed, making Great Britain a protector of Belgium. If you look on a map, Belgium is between France and Germany. Great Britain is now a protector of Belgium. So if anybody is wanting to invade Belgium for any reason and Belgium doesn't like it, then that means Great Britain is assigned, I guess, to aid Belgium in that conflict. And then shortly after that, in July of 1870, the Franco-Prussian War occurs. During that time, Otto von Bismarck, German chancellor, was divisive in the beginning of that war, seeing an opportunity for a German victory. This guy Bismarck, man, he's a real treat. But the politics are a little confusing. I'm not going to get into them for the Franco-Prussian War. Let's just say that Germany was a small coalition of different areas, all under the rule of Prussia before it's actually Germany. So Prussia is like the umbrella, and then Germany is like 5 or 6 empires underneath the rule of Prussia during this time period. The Franco-Prussian War, I'm about to tell you. So the Franco-Prussian War was a war between Prussia and France. I'm not going to go into all of the details of the war, but in a nutshell, France wanted to assert dominance over Prussia. They wanted their land or whatever, and the German army under Prussian rule was bigger, they were more trained, they were stronger, because remember, it's like a force of 5 or 6 different empires. And Germany ended up winning that war. They gained independence from Prussia. It was a peaceful transition, and the King of Prussia became the Emperor of Germany. So essentially, Prussia turned into Germany. It was swallowed up by the German Empire. Cool? Good? So far, so good?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it on.
Okay, excellent. About 7 years later, in March of 1878, Ottoman Turkey was defeated in a war against Russia. This forced the Ottoman Turkish Empire to recognize the independence of both Serbia and Romania, and they were under Ottoman rule before this. So this is the time period just before the Ottoman Empire used to be super powerful and super awesome. They were starting to weaken at this point. They're losing their grip on their power. In 1879, 1 year after Serbia gained their independence, Germany and Austria-Hungary created an alliance. Germany and Austria-Hungary created an alliance. Underline that. That's important. 2 years later, Russia joined in this alliance, creating what was known as the League of the Three Empires. So we've got an alliance between Austria-Hungary, Germany, and Russia during this time period. It doesn't stay that way forever, but it is important to note. In 1882, another alliance was created between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. This one is called the Triple Alliance. So it's a different alliance, very similar, but instead of Russia, it's Italy.
Acta.
Yes. The next year, a year later, in 1883, Austria, Hungary, Romania, and Germany, another triple alliance, but this time it's Austria, Hungary, Germany, and Romania, formed an alliance as well. In 1885, 2 years after that, Austria, Hungary created an alliance with Serbia that lasted until 1995, which is interesting. To me, that's really an interesting alliance. In 1901...
1995?
Yeah, it lasted 100 years.
I was born that year. That's crazy.
It's nuts, right? Ridiculous. In 1901, discussions of an alliance between Britain and Germany fell through without any traction on the idea. Despite that, Britain was successful in obtaining an alliance with Japan a year later, which will come into play during World War I. In 1904, 3 years after that, Britain and France formed an alliance called the Anglo-French Entente, or the Entente Cordiale. Sorry, my French is trash. That's the best I can do. In 1907, Entente. In 1907, Russia and Britain formed an alliance called the Anglo-Russian Entente. And
I really like that word.
Entente. It's a good word. All right. So I know all of the above. Entente. I know all of the above is extremely confusing, trying to keep track of all these alliances, who's aligned with who's not, and all of that. Especially if you don't have a map in front of you. If you go onto our website, look onto our show notes, I do have a really great map happening. So to simplify this huge network of alliances that were made between 1878 and 1907 to various world powers and all of that nonsense, for our story today, what we truly do just need to worry about is Serbia's independence and its alliance with Austria-Hungary in 1885. I do go into all of the other alliances down the road. That's where the cookie comes in. I hope you're keeping your notes handy. All right. So, whilst alliances were being made throughout the Western world, the Industrial Revolution was also in full swing, which meant new warships were being built. Bolt-action repeater rifles were finding their way to military use in the late 1800s, and by the early 1900s, armies began using early machine guns on top of that. The first submarines were being sent out. The first Zeppelin airship was launched in 1900. In 1903, the Wright brothers created the first airplane. 7 years later, in 1910, militaries across the Western world began using them for military purposes. It's all going super fast. If you look at that, we have bolt-action repeater rifles entering the military the late 1800s, like 1890s. Maybe 20 years later, we have men in airplanes in the military. Redonkulous. The period between 1880 and 1914 was also a period of small wars between one nation and another nation. A lot of people, especially here in America, feel like this area of time is peaceful and everybody's hanging out. It wasn't like that in Europe. In Europe, it was a lot messier. The public was having a great time. Public having a grand time. Politicians, not so much.
It was interesting to note is when I took a Western civilization history class in college, my teacher was like, the 1800s in Europe was considered one of the most peaceful 100 years time period in Europe. And that's accounting for the fact that there was a lot of little wars going on.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 1900s, so 1899, 1880, up to the 1914 period.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're talking
not the bulk of the 1800s. Yeah. Sorry if I wasn't clear.
Got it. And one thing I want to mention about the American Civil War, and you're probably thinking like, wrong podcast, Ed. When we look at the technology from going into like 1910s and whatnot, a lot of Europeans, including Americans, they looked at the American Civil War and they're like, hey, we need faster loading guns. We need the idea of pumping bullets down a range really, really fast. We need machine guns like the Gatling gun and all that stuff. And a lot of people in Europe were kind of looking at the American Civil War because it was a lot of modern day, I'm doing air quotes, modern day technology mixed with antiquated strategies. And a lot of Europe was looking at that in terms of how they were going to go fight a war. So it was one of those things where the American Civil War was really, really popular in Europe.
Yes. With that being said, too, it is also important to remember I'm not really going to touch on America at all in this episode. They have nothing to do with anything right now. Not until they enter the First World War, and even then, they don't really get their footing on the world stage until World War II. But yeah, they were looking at the American Civil War as like an experiment to see what they could do better, almost. So in 1899 to 1902, you have the Boer War between Britain and South Africa, one of their colonies down there. It was a British victory for them. It did affect them, but it didn't have like a huge cost. It was more like a learning curve for the Brits. In 1899 to 1901, China suppresses the Boxer Rebellion, and it had a great cost to the Chinese government. It could be its own dumpster fire. I'm not going to get into that, but just know that that happened. In 1905, Germany, afraid of being surrounded by enemy countries, came up with the Schlieffen Plan. This Schlieffen Plan does come into play. It is rather important. In a nutshell, a very small, compact nutshell that I will not dive super deep into, but I'm sure we'll get into it later. Germany planned to take out France in a knockout blow and then go for Russia after that because they felt they couldn't fight a war on two fronts. They had Russia on one side of their country. They had France on another side of their country. They were super freaked out, and they're like, okay, if anything happens, we're going to go all out. We're going to just murder everybody in France, and then we'll go murder people in Russia. Super small nutshell. Again, there's whole doctor thesis papers written on the Schlieffen Plan. I'm not going to go into that too much, but just know it's there.
Yeah, there's history professors that are just screaming at their phones right now. Like, you're forgetting all this
I know,
stuff.
I'm forgetting a lot, but also I'm not. It's also something that scholars and historians argue about. I'm not going to get into
Yeah.
it. Just know that exists. It's there. It happens. It's important later. In 1904 to 1905, you have the Russo-Japanese War. Russia, Japan. Russia loses, and they lose really bad. They find it extremely embarrassing. Japan takes the victory. They also ally themselves with France and Britain, so just keep that in mind. In 1911 and to 1912, Italy and Turkey go to war over land in Libya. Italy wins, and they take the land. So you have all of these little tiny, smaller wars and battles and all of rebellions and stuff like that happening all throughout Europe. In combination, if you combine the innovation that's going on plus the warfare in Europe creates an arms race between most of the countries led by Germany and Britain. They arm themselves with the newest and greatest in terms of military arms and tools, and it was something that moved so fast you could compare it to technology today. So like, you want to buy the next greatest cell phone, it's super cool. You pre-order it, by the time this phone comes out, there's already another phone out that's bigger and better. Same thing is happening during this arms race. Britain is building these super cool ships. Germany sees these cool ships, and they build more, but Britain's already building something better than what Germany built. Same idea, just on a much larger, scarier scale. So we have all of this stuff going on. We have all of these alliances. It's extremely chaotic. I hope you guys are following.
Yes,
Great.
every word.
I hope you're taking notes, because here is where I want you to really pay attention. We have the annexation of Bosnia. Oh, goodness help me. Herzegovina, something like that. Yeah,
Herzegovina.
We're going to start focusing on Southeastern Europe and the Baltics. So we're going to be here until the end of the episode. So if you find yourself on a map, go ahead and search for Serbia, Bulgaria, Austria-Hungary, that area. That's where we're going to be hanging out for a while. So there are a lot of rising tensions during this time between Russia and Austria-Hungary over the Slavic states in the Baltics. That is Serbia, Bulgaria, Montenegro, and Greece. Russia considered itself to be a protector of the Baltic states. They had a good relationship with them. They were hoping to gain control of the land in the area, especially while the Ottoman Empire was in great decline. Austria-Hungary saw the Baltics as an issue. They were like a thorn in their sides that needed controlling, as if they were a naughty child, causing all kinds of issues. At the time, Austria-Hungary had a large Slavic population with ethnic ties to people there in the Baltics. Therefore, the Austria-Hungarian government was aiming to use their control in the Baltics to control their own population. So because those people had ties to the Baltic states, they were like, maybe if we control the Baltic states, that'll help us control our own people here. It's a weird logic. I don't know if I really agree with it, but sure. Okay, politicians.
I feel like it's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of memos going around at this time.
A lot of aggression.
A lot.
I feel like.
Yeah. Just
because at the same time you have all these little wars, you have an arms race. It's redonk.
Yeah.
In 1908, Austria-Hungary decided to annex Bosnia-Herzegovina. Basically, that means they're going to take over this territory without any kind of diplomacy or paperwork or conversations. They're just like, this is ours now. They didn't even give them a heads up.
Yeah, I feel like that part of the world is all about annexation.
Yeah.
Even to this
we're
day.
seeing it today. And it's a little bit scary considering how this plays out, but we'll keep going. As you can imagine, this caused uproar and discontent in the Baltic states, especially in Serbia, where Bosnia-Herzegovina is located. This resentment towards annexation created groups and factions of angry young people with the aim of revolt and revenge. So they started creating almost, I don't want to say terrorist groups, but they kind of are terrorist groups. It's really hard to define. They're basically small, angry groups of young people wanting to rebel against the annexation and the government of Austria-Hungary within the Baltic states. The whole thing angers Serbia, and in turn it angers Russia. Russia is attempting to bring the country to war, but they're unable to convince Britain and France to assist them, so they backed out ultimately. Like, all right, it's not worth it, especially if we don't have our allies wanting to support us in this. Serbian people began creating their own groups and factions to act against Austria-Hungary. So we have angry groups in both states for and against this annexation. One of these groups is called the Black Hand. They're a lot smaller. but they do have some power in the area. We'll come back to them here pretty soon. All right. So after this annexation in 1908, we get the Young Turk Revolution that occurs within the Ottoman Empire. What was left of it. So what happens is Macedonia is the center of this big revolution, and the revolution essentially it results in the empire transitioning from an autocracy to a more constitutional government, and it's essentially the end of the Ottoman Empire, and it turns into Turkey in a nutshell.
Yeah, I feel like the Ottoman Empire, it's not like Rome where it like had centuries of expansion and success, and then it kind of petered out. I feel like the Ottoman Empire just started off big, and then just spent its years declining.
I could see that. Yeah.
Just like
this is the end of it.
Yeah, like, hey, we're not like we just popped up on the map as this giant empire, and then we just kind of petered out over the course of centuries.
Yeah.
No growth.
Here we are. Yeah.
There it was.
You could make the same argument with Germany too, but Germany's still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Deja?
I said, hey there.
Oh, hey.
Like I was the Ottoman Empire. Hey guys, I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit and then slowly just head out.
Nice.
Just fade. I like the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, it's like that gif of Homer Simpson when he's going into the hedge. He's just like sinking into.
Oh yeah.
Like, all right, now I gotta go.
Perfect.
They're just moving on back.
The countries in the Balkan League. So these are the main countries: Serbia, Montenegro, Greece, and Bulgaria. These countries became super alarmed with all of this discontent happening. They were super alarmed with the revolution, the Young Turk Revolution. They didn't like it, primarily because a lot of their native people were still living in Macedonia, and the Turkish government now, they are trying to rule with an iron fist, essentially, with the central government. And the Balkans were like, no, our people are there. What are you doing? Like, that destroys everything that we're doing over there. So in 1912, here we go, guys. In 1912, the Balkan League attacked Turkey, essentially starting a war. There were some battles, they fought, and the Balkan League did win that war against Turkey. They call it the First Balkan War in early 1913, so just a year later. It didn't last very long. That tells you how powerful Turkey was at the time. The victory, though, left the Balkan states with a lot of land to be divided amongst them, and this did not go well whatsoever at all. Upset with the division of spoils, Bulgaria, who didn't think it was fair that Serbia is getting everything, attacked Greece and Serbia, and it sparked the Second Balkan War in 1913. So from one war to another war, we can't agree on anything. It's fine.
Wait, so they had one war in 1912, and then they had part two in 1913? Yep. I feel like they just should have merged them and just made it one.
But I mean, they do that because of the reason the Second War started was because of what they won in the First War. That's why the second one started.
Yeah. Okay. And there was probably like a clear-cut surrender, like, on this day, this war is over. Therefore, if a fight breaks out next year, then it's a separate...
It's a separate issue.
Thing altogether.
Yeah.
It's a paperwork issue.
Pretty much. I mean, really.
Nice.
The Second Balkan War starts in 1913. Romania came to the aid of Greece and Serbia, which means Bulgaria was fighting on their own against three other countries. And by that point, it was a loss for Bulgaria and a big win, especially for Serbia. The Second Balkan War only lasted like 2 months. Yeah, it's a good time.
It's kind of like the invasion of Zanzibar.
Mm-hmm.
It's the war. It's history's shortest war. It only lasted for 35 minutes.
Perfect.
And Britain just invaded Zanzibar in like a morning.
Jesus. So the Balkan Wars, the reason they're important, it results in Serbia gaining a large amount of land, almost doubling its size. Bulgaria remains extremely angry with Serbia, hoping for a chance at revenge. Russia, traditionally a friend of the Balkan countries, was put in a spot and was forced to choose between Bulgaria and Serbia. They ended up going with Serbia and took Serbia as an ally, kind of forgetting about Bulgaria as a whole, which comes into play later. Not Bulgaria, but Serbia. It's fine. All right. We're going to fast forward a little bit to 1914 in April, and we're going to shift gears. So We were zoomed out talking about world powers from a big picture. Now we're going to zoom in to a small little cafe in Serbia in April of 1914. There's a small group of men in this cafe, about 6 or 7 dudes, and they all belong to a Serbian group called the Black Hand. And they receive a newspaper clipping from some friends in Bosnia. And the newspaper clipping was a small informational snippet notifying the public of Austria-Hungary's Archduke, Prince Franz Ferdinand. He would be visiting the capital of the recently annexed Bosnia-Herzegovina, Sarajevo, the capital, on June 28th, 1914. This newspaper clipping was read, passed around, and I just want to remind you that Austria-Hungary's annexation is not very popular with the Serbians at all. They're very upset by this. So just a reminder. On the note, a note on June 28th. So Franz Ferdinand visiting Serbia in Sarajevo, the capital of the annexed area, on June 28th. I want to put a note on June 28th just to rub salt in it. Okay, let's rub salt in this wound that's already open.
How many years ago was that yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Today's the 29th.
We're at 110 years, I think.
Yeah.
Am I counting that right? 110 years?
You are?
110 years ago from yesterday.
That's cool.
I wanted to note that is actually perfect. That for the Serbian people during this time period, especially June 28th, is rather important. In 1389, the Serbian people lost their independence to Turkey. No, I think they won their independence. I think I read that wrong. They won their independence from Turkey and the Ottoman Empire after the Battle of Kosovo in 1389.
It's one of the rare cases where a country kind of gained freedom by not separating with England.
Mm-hmm. England wasn't even involved. It was great.
Yeah.
Good for them.
What was that stat? Like, most nations in the world has their own Independence Day celebrating the day that they're no longer part of the British Empire.
Yeah, it's a good time. The fact that Austria-Hungary was sending its prince to this particular city on this particular date was quite the slap in the face for Serbians. Think of it like this. What if we had a country like North Korea or China or Russia or whatever come to the US, annex Washington, D.C., and they're like, this is ours. And then they go and send their prince to Washington, D.C., and parade him around like a little toy on the 4th of July.
Oh, hell no.
That
ain't gonna fly.
Bad deal.
That's awful.
I feel like they would probably, like, the prince and everybody would show up to Washington, D.C. in the middle or the beginning of July, where it's like 100 degrees at 90% humidity, and they're probably thinking, this sucks. And then when they really get to know our politicians, they're like, we're out.
I mean,
like, what the heck is going on?
Like, what is up with these people? You know what, America, keep it.
Oh, boy. Okay. So I have a primary resource from one of the assassination conspirators. It's really fascinating. However, I cannot pronounce his first name, so I'm going to skip to his second name. I'm very sorry to this man. All right, but it's really interesting. I put it in the show notes if you want to read it. It's really cool. So this account comes from Yevchik, something like that. Yevchik. We'll go with Yevchik. That's fine. He was a conspirator for the assassination, and he writes, such were the men into whose hands the tiny bit of newsprint was sent by friends in Bosnia that April night in Belgrade. At a small table in a very humble cafe beneath a flickering gas jet, we sat and read it. There was no advice nor admonition sent with it. Only 4 letters and 2 numerals were sufficient to make us unanimous with discussion as to what we should do about it. In other words, all they needed to know was that date and that prince coming to that city. And they're like, all right. Also,
nice.
Just, okay, guys, this is so stupid. The people who wrote this article not only wrote the date he was going to be there, they also gave the addresses of where he was going to be. They gave the schedule for the day. They gave a map to his motorcade route.
Hi. tie. That's good.
That's how you do it.
Yes, everything.
That is.
All the
Bada
information
bing,
was
bada
published.
boom.
All of it was published.
I feel like if you get a job as a Secret Service agent for like the president, they will have you have to take these training courses, and I bet you anything, the first lesson of the first day of your training is this newspaper clipping that, like, this is what you do not do.
They're like, hey guys, don't do this.
Don't do this.
What do you not do? That is the title of your first test.
Yeah.
This.
I feel like they could have made it one step further and drew a map of where he was going to be going through, and then put like little circles, like this would be a good place for a sniper. If you're going to throw a bomb, this would be a good place for a bomb. Like,
that's kind of what they did.
Knoll, this will work.
That's
in the newspaper, like they put down. Like,
not in the newspaper. No, not in the newspaper. But that's what the Black Hand did. This little group of guys, they had that little piece of newspaper, and they mapped out where everybody was going to be. They mapped out who was going to do what. It's a fiasco.
A whole system.
A whole system.
System.
The map to the motorcade route. The schedule for the man's day. So the official schedule, I'm just going to read it to you because, hey, we have it. For Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie for their visit at 9:50 a.m. They were to arrive by train from Bosnia and proceed from the station by car to the town hall. From 10:10 to 10:30 a.m. they were to visit the town hall, and from 10:40 to 11:40 they were to open and tour the new State Museum, and from noon to 2 p.m. they would have lunch and then
I heard that too.
They would have lunch and return to the station. Noon to tune. Here we go. We're doing great. Our words are hard, but yeah, that's their schedule.
It's
wild.
They literally did all the work for these guys.
Yep.
Jeez, yeah.
Yep, it was all done for them. It's a hot mess, and it just gets worse.
I like how they didn't even have to like write it down. They just like clipped out the newspaper article. Like, okay, guys, here's your itinerary. Yep. You know where to go now.
Mm-hmm.
Get her done.
I think the goal, and I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. The goal was to give this information to the public for the parade. That way they could shake hands, they could see them in the motorcade and all of that stuff. So they could have the public plan ahead, but man, it backfired.
Yeah.
No kidding.
All right, so let's go to the day of June 28th. Before they even set off on this trip, the Archduke was warned about possible assassination attempts during this visit. But they did it anyway. He was like, I don't care. Let's just do it. Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a bulletproof motorcade. That convertible that they were in was bulletproof, right?
Oh, yeah, the convertible. Yes. And it wasn't convertible. You guys can look it up. It's great. The Austria-Hungarian
Was it the same one as JFK's?
A little bit older, but close. It's actually the similarities are a little
intimidating,
uneasy. It's
uncanny.
Really uncanny. Thank you. It's really weird if you look at it. Thankfully, Jackie did not die, but anyway.
Thankfully,
she's actually an interesting lady.
She's very fascinating.
100%.
So
absolutely
interesting, that lady.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff that she was privy to and the stuff that went down, like, leading up to it and after that whole...
Fascinating.
No idea how she made it work.
Maybe I'll do that next after this one. That'd be fitting.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that would be good.
Back to 1914. The Austria-Hungarian government considered Sarajevo a safe location for the Archduke and his wife to visit. This assumption led to extremely light security during the visit. It was recorded that there were only 120 police officers assigned to the route. It was a 4-mile long route. And the Archduke was traveling with no military presence in the vicinity.
Good.
Very light police. It was just him, his wife, a couple drivers. There was like one military general or two in his little party, but that was it.
Good. Check.
Yep. We're checking all these boxes. Thanks to this little article, the 7 young Serbian conspirators placed themselves along the parade route because they knew exactly where to be. They armed themselves with explosives strapped to their bodies, loaded revolvers, grenades, and cyanide pills just in case.
Just in case they got caught.
Yep.
Right.
If they got caught, they would, bite on the cyanide pill. That was the goal, at least. They'd bite on the cyanide pill.
That'd be kind of awkward. Like, if you've got a cyanide pill in your mouth, and your tactic was that you're going to use that cyanide pill in your mouth to kill the Archduke by, like, running up and kissing him or something like that, would be really weird.
That'd be awkward. The cyanide pill, that comes back, though. We'll talk about that here in just a second. The motorcade drove by the first two conspirators without incident. Yep, Chick writes, when Franz Ferdinand and his retinue drove from the station, they were allowed to pass the first two conspirators. The motor cars were driving too fast to make an attempt feasible, and in the crowd were many Serbians. Throwing a grenade would have killed many innocent people. Another conspirator along the route...
ethical about it.
Yeah. Another conspirator along the route, he failed to draw his pistol in time to shoot the Archduke, so kind of the same thing. And around 10:15 a.m., this one's my favorite. It's just, it sounds really bad, but this one to me is the funniest one. And even that sounds bad. Sorry, dark humor. Here we go. Conspirator Kabrinovich threw a bomb at the car Ferdinand was in. The bomb bounced off his car, hit the car behind him, and it injured several people, including a military general that was close to the Archduke. After throwing the bomb, this guy took his cyanide pill, bit on it, jumped into the river that was along the route. But unfortunately, the poison didn't work, and the river was too shallow for him to drown, so he was arrested.
Good. We are on a roll
That's
here.
like winning a Darwin Award on what should have been the most easiest assassination in history. Like,
this is why I wanted to
only
do
had
this.
one job.
how did you miss with a bomb?
Oh dear.
How did you not take the cyanide pill right? Like, how could you?
Everyone is fired.
Oh, it gets worse. Hold on.
Oh God.
After the first bomb hits, the cars speed down the town hall as quickly as they can. The conspirators along the rest of the route did absolutely nothing as the cars rushed past them. Because remember, there's 7 guys. There's like 3 or 4 other guys down the way. They didn't do anything about it. They just ran. At this point,
the problem saw the fiasco with the bomb, and they're like,
nope.
This guy's invincible.
They're like, oh.
I mean, if you think about it, it would be smart, because once those bombs hit, everybody panics, everybody runs. Right?
Yeah.
So the conspirators are going to blend in with the chaos. They're going to run away and try to escape that way, acting as casually as possible, right? One of the conspirators was 19-year-old Gavrilo Princip. He was positioned and sitting down at a nearby cafe shortly after the bomb went off. Sitting at a cafe, chilling. One of my favorite stories, and we don't know if it's true or not, but I like it. He went in for a sandwich. Very casual for a guy who just tried to assassinate a prince.
Meanwhile, like, everybody's running around freaking out that a bomb just blew up, and he's just sitting there just drinking his coffee, eating a sandwich.
Yeah, well, what I think he was trying to do is blend in a little bit. Like, he was there, he was ready, and then everybody, like, freaks out, so he just walks to this cafe trying to be casual about it.
As you do.
As you do.
When a bomb goes off, yeah.
Yeah. So, this bomb goes off, everybody leaves, right? Even after this whole thing, the Archduke still decides that he's going to continue with his visit in Sarajevo. Like, nothing happened.
Nothing to see here. We're just gonna...
He still goes. We're just gonna keep going. He goes to town hall still, as scheduled. He has
Punctual.
I like how the attempted bomb part of it doesn't even slow it down. Like, he's on schedule still after all this went down.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit behind by like 30 minutes, but even so, that's pretty impressive. They go to town hall. Some of his, like, people in his entourage are saying, hey, we should probably leave. I don't think this is safe for you anymore. And the Archduke is like, nah, dude. We're doing this. This is fine.
It's fine.
Sir,
it's fine.
You almost got blown up with a bomb. It's fine.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just
cool.
one. And the
It's all
guy
good.
screwed up, so.
Yeah, these guys are dumb. So I did read that a lot of the people who are close to the Archduke, they describe him as very prideful, very irritable, very stubborn. So that kind of tracks for somebody who would make that decision. The Archduke met with officials at town hall, so he was continuing with his scheduled day. They kind of modified it because they wanted to include a visitation to the general who was injured by the bomb. So that general was rushed to the hospital. They wanted to make sure they went and saw him. So they made new
Wow.
plans, right? They made new plans. Instead of going to the museum, they made plans to go to the hospital. Okay. Now, these new plans were never given to the drivers. And on
Okay.
top of that, the drivers did not get the memo for the new plans. And there was also miscommunications because the drivers spoke Czech, while Ferdinand, his wife, and all of the other people spoke German. Nobody bothered to translate and tell the drivers that this was a thing.
Oh boy.
Okay, we ready? So, the Archduke, his wife, and their drivers all left to go to the hospital. Naturally, the driver took a wrong turn. After realizing he took a wrong turn, he stopped in front of a cafe and was trying to reverse the car to get to the hospital. While the driver was trying to turn the car around, Gabriel Princip was sitting there at the cafe. If we want to go with the
Eating a sandwich.
if we want to go with the sandwich story, he was finishing his sandwich and he saw the car.
Sandwich.
I just have visions of this guy, like, he's just eating, like, this giant Subway sandwich. And then he just casually reaches into the sandwich and pulls out this pistol.
Yep.
Like, he just so happened to have a pistol in there. And then, like, meanwhile, the driver's asking him for directions. It's like,
I like to picture it where the driver's in front of the cafe and he's fighting with the car. He's God freaking car.
That's
He's trying to
exactly what
turn
I'm
it
picturing.
around.
He's like, it's all jumbling around and like rocking back and forth. And he's like, oh my gosh, this car, I told them I wanted a new one.
he's got a map, it's upside down. Like,
It's just a mess. It's a hot mess.
Gosh, I just need a raise and just, oh, I hate this job.
should have read the newspaper report that laid out everything.
Should have been a lawyer.
It was such a bad deal. So while they were trying to turn this car, 19-year-old Princip spotted the Archduke's car. And then he shot his gun point blank twice. One shot hit the Archduke in the neck, while the other shot his wife in the stomach. The couple were dead within a few minutes of being shot.
Ooh.
Princip was detained by the police almost instantly. I did read another article that I thought was pretty interesting too. He said it was lucky that they were shot where they were in terms of Princip's intentions, because you would have had to been a doctor or a butcher or something to know where those shots would go to instantly kill them that fast.
Interesting.
And he shot them point blank.
That was the Archduke's wife. Was that intentional, or do you think that was more like missed and hit her?
Considering she was from a family of high power and regard, I have a feeling that it was probably intentional.
Got it.
I could be wrong. Because it was point blank, I could be very wrong, but I feel like that was probably something that was planned as well.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. If you look at her status,
yeah,
like, hey, if you're going to do it right.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Those first few guys that couldn't do it right.
So, a note. After this whole thing, it goes out to newspapers throughout Europe. And for almost the entire population of Western Europe, and even as far east as Germany and areas around Germany, it wasn't a big deal. They're like, oh, well, that sucks for them. And then they move on with their day. There's like pictures of German people hanging out at the beach on the day this happened, eating ice cream, hanging out. Like, it's crazy. Most of Europe, it was unfortunate, but it's not going to have a great effect on us.
Yeah. Par for the course for the region.
I mean,
but doesn't really affect us all that much. It's just,
it's whatever. Now, that's the public view. If you look at the political side of things that the public did not see, there's a lot of activity happening. In Austria-Hungary, after the assassination, Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophia were buried in a private crypt. There was no public ceremony. There's no fanfare. It's all very low-key. The emperor, so Franz Ferdinand's uncle, the current emperor, the man Franz Ferdinand was supposed to succeed, he had a really interesting response. He says, "A higher power has restored that order, which I could unfortunately not maintain." In other words, he was kind of happy this happened. He didn't like his nephew. His nephew was obnoxious and annoying. He was going to be a terrible leader, so this is great.
Family bonds are like unbreakable.
It's great. All right. So we're going to start to zoom out a little bit back to world power statuses. So we're going to start slowly zooming out. I'm going to mention like one or two more individual people, and then we're going to start talking about countries again. But despite the emperor's opinions, the general population, as I said, we're kind of divided. If we're going to count the Baltics and Serbia and Austria-Hungary and Russia, it was divided. So in Southeastern Europe, in the Baltics, and people were kind of upset, depending on what side you're on. If you're Austria-Hungarian, then you're upset. If you're Serbian, you're excited. Austria-Hungary decided they needed an opinion on what to do. They were trying to figure out what to do, and they needed to make sure if things blew up, because I also wanted to remind you, in this time and age, everybody's waiting for war to happen. Everybody's opinion, especially if you were in politics, was war is going to happen no matter what. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, now I would even go so far, if you look at imperialism in that time period, they were not only like, hey, it's just a matter of time before a war breaks up, but they were almost like looking for a reason to try out these new fancy toys.
That's Germany.
Yeah.
In fact, that's exactly what Germany does.
Cool.
Yep.
So everybody's just itching to play with their toys, and those toys just so happen to kill a lot of people.
Yep. So Austria-Hungary decided they needed an opinion on what to do, and just in case everything goes to crap, they go to Germany, their most trusted and strongest ally, and they go to Kaiser Wilhelm II. Kaiser Wilhelm II, if you do any kind of reading on this man, he is a character who really, really, really wants to go to war. All
Sarah's
he does,
eye roll was like felt from over here where I am versus where she is. Like,
okay, if you read the whole thing in like the grand scheme of everything, every single person except for this guy and maybe like 2 or 3 other people want to end this issue diplomatically. It could have been avoided.
Yeah.
This guy.
And if you look at pictures of him, he looks like Kaiser
like
Wilhelm.
He looks like a total jerk face.
Yeah, almost like those African warlords where they have like all the medals and and like, what did you do to get these medals and all these accolades? But yeah, he just looks like a Kaiser Wilhelm. It's really funny.
It's great. So this guy, he was outraged. Well, at least he played outraged. I'm going to say he was outraged. He told Austria-Hungary that the Serbians should be held accountable, and any action should be taken in any way they saw fit. No matter what they chose to do, they would have German support. And Germany, if we go all the way back, is one of the strongest nations to suddenly pop up after the Franco-Prussian War. Remember, it's an amalgamation of like 6 empires, so they're doing great. Now, Austria-Hungary sent Serbia a list of demands designed to be unacceptable by Serbia. It was things like, allow Austro-Hungarian people into your country and have them investigate the murder. Things like, you have to put down these rebellions, control your people, give us lots of money, things like that. And they gave him 48 hours to accept these terms. It was designed this way to give Austria-Hungary an excuse to attack Serbia with military force. They knew that it was not going to be accepted. It was designed that way. They wanted the excuse. So the idea was to take out Serbia permanently with the might of their army and the backing of Germany. It was supposed to be a quick knockout to avoid a long, drawn-out conflict that lasts forever.
Precisely exactly what happened. A long, drawn-out conflict.
Diplomatic attempts were made, but again, it just didn't work. And Austria-Hungary really, 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 really wanted to knock out Serbia. Like this was what they wanted to do. So they did it. And on July 28th, they officially declared war on Serbia. All right, guys, it's quiz time. You remember all those alliances we talked about? Remember? Did you take notes? Okay, great. Do you remember the spider web of allies? Whose ally was Serbia?
Russia?
Russia! You get a cookie. Congrats. Once war was
Yeah,
declared on
let's go.
Serbia, Russia declared war on Austria-Hungary. Who's allies with Austria-Hungary? Germany! Deja gets a cookie. All right. Now we have Serbia and Russia against Austria-Hungary and Germany. Let's look back at the German war plans real quick. We have these 4 nations so far. And a reminder, this is like in a matter of a few days, maybe a week. Germany's plan was to hit France and then to hit Russia, or vice versa, knock one out, then take on the other one. Right? Well, now they're at war with Russia.
Happen again, it seems like.
Yeah. Now they're at war with Russia, which means now they're at war with France.
Yeah.
Yay. And on August 3rd, 1914, Germany officially declared war on France. Now, if you get this one, you get 2 cookies. Remember that Treaty of London in 1839?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did it do? Do you remember? What does it do?
It's the one that made Great Britain protector of Belgium.
Correct. You get 2 cookies. Now, why do we care?
No.
Why is that important? In order to get to France, the Germans needed to cross through Belgium. Okay? On August 2nd, Germany demanded permission to pass through Belgium. Belgium said no, and they decided to stand their ground. In response, Great Britain demanded that Germany withdraw. They refused. Great Britain declares war on Germany on August 4th.
Got it. So that's how Britain and France got involved.
It was Belgium.
Got it. Okay.
And this, friends, is how a dumpster fire of an assassination attempt creates an even larger dumpster fire that is World War I. There we have it. I will not go into World War I because that will make this episode at least another 2 to 3 hours, and I would love to. It is one of my favorite wars to talk about. And if anybody is wondering, by August of 1914, both Italy and the US are neutral. They don't get pulled in until later.
I feel like the whole Franz Ferdinand thing, like you said, like, okay, he gets assassinated. The rest of the world just really didn't care. But then,
anyways,
you also know that there's all these secretaries and all these ambassadors and presidents and Kaisers and all that stuff. They're like, okay, this person's dead. And then they started reading like all the fine print and all these agreements and all these treaties and alliances that they had. And it probably took them a few days for everybody to go through all the fine print to figure out like who's now got to fight who, and like we're allies with our enemy now. And like I feel like there is a lot of really, really sleepless nights of Europe trying to figure out what to do with the paperwork associated with a dead prince.
Yeah. Also, I feel like I left you, listeners, on a what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
There we go. I felt like I left you on a cliffhanger with that. But if any of you are my students in class next year, you get the rest of it. So you're welcome. Yeah. Including World War II. It's going to be great.
It's going to be good stuff. I watched 1917 last night.
Love that movie. Such a good movie.
I love that movie.
Let me go back.
Okay.
I didn't watch it. I halfway watched it while finishing my notes for my episode. And then I was done, and it was at the very end. And I cried harder than I should have for someone who watched like 25 minutes entirely. But Aaron like summed everything up. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sad.
Love it. Is that your film pop culture reference for this episode?
Yeah.
Sick.
Absolutely. It was really, I was around the whole time. It was really good.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then for literature, I would suggest All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh yeah.
If anybody else has any, hit me up.
Kara?
Thanks.
Fun one.
Yeah, that's a good old fashioned historical dumpster fire.
Oh yeah.
Right there.
Yep, there it
boom,
is.
Boom, 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 boom.
Well, it's one of those dumpster fires where it's not like somebody threw a lit torch into the dumpster full of flammable stuff. It was like a spark. It's like this tiny little spark and then the whole thing just explodes
Yeah, pretty much. That's
as
good
a
way to put it.
result. It's not like somebody took a flamethrower to it. Like in some dumpster fires, no, this is like the most innocuous assassination, if that's even a thing. This little innocuous assassination literally changed
Everything.
Europe and the Middle East.
It caused the Second
Forever.
World War, which changed everything forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In fact, if you look at a map of today of that part of Europe, it does not look like what it did.
Nope.
Back then, because there's been so many changes and boundaries and countries collapsing, and it's just well, we knew that we had that one lady at our school where she's like, yeah, the country I was born in doesn't even exist anymore. It's now a completely different country. I'm like, oh, that's got to be weird. That's got to be a weird feeling.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's
Wow.
crazy. I love World War I, love World War II. I love everything in between. So my students, get ready, prepare. All right, so real quick, some house cleaning. Jesus, some cleanup, housekeeping. There we go. That's the word, housekeeping.
There you go.
Oh God. Remember to visit us at our website, thedaysdumpsterfire.com. If you have a trash can fire that you want us to go over, there is a page for that. You can also email us at thedaysdumpsterfire@gmail.com. We do have an Instagram that gets updated usually with episodes every time we release them. Same thing with the website. We're doing our best. It's fine. But I just wanted to let you know that does exist. You guys got anything else before we leave?
Kara, can we just drop a little bit of what Kara did for us? Like,
I was actually going to bring that up, and then you just brought it up, but that will tie into my announcement if you want to do your thing.
Yeah, Kara is a phenomenal artiste. Okay, we all know this. And she drew pictures of the three of us. Personally, you know, I'm not like someone who I just don't want to take a picture and put it on the website, okay? And I was like, Kara, you know, you should just draw us like in some kind of like error or whatever. I don't know how she does it, but she just executes things like more than my expectation. They're pretty high, and I'm just like, so prepare to see her art. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, they'll be up there on the website. If you go to the About Us thing, that'll come up eventually. We'll get there, but it will be there.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that will tie into my announcement because I am working on getting our Patreon page set up. The idea behind the Patreon thing is we don't have like super secret content or anything like that going. I want to set it up so that, hey, if you like what we're doing, donate. You know, just kind of like maybe we could do some shout outs down the road and whatnot. But yeah, like if you like what we got going on, feel free to donate. And then we will also be putting up Kara's artwork on there. And the idea is to kind of set up a almost like a shop on there where people can buy prints and copies of her artwork because it's next level stuff.
It's so good. I can't say enough. I wish I could do that.
If you want to see more on Instagram, my art profile is KM Smalls Draws, I believe. I'll double check that.
Yeah, go check it out because it's really cool. And then when we get the Patreon thing set up, like order prints because that will help support your favorite podcast. And yeah, Kara does. She has a way of drawing people that's very flattering.
Honestly, like she really does when she's really thinking about how she's going to execute this. She really does take the characteristics of the person, which I don't know. I'm done.
Thanks, guys.
You're great. That's just great. It's great.
Yeah, because if anybody looks at me in real life, there is absolutely nothing flattering about me. But then when you see like my alter ego drawn by Kara, it's almost like, wow, I wouldn't mind getting to know that guy a little bit. And then when you actually see me in real life, you're like, oh.
You're great. You are beautiful.
All right. With all that being said, thank you for listening to us today. We hope you see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Keep it a hot mess.
Bye.
TTYL.